Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk to you about a PDV 100 and how it compares with the VibroGo. Many customers out there currently owning a PDV 100. It's been one of our portable digital vibrometers, been around for a long time as part of the product portfolio. Very nice and easy, compact to carry around. And then about 3 years ago, we came up with its successor, the VibroGo. And we often get asked, what's the big deal? What's up with VibroGo? How does it compare with the PDV? So, in this short video, the goal is to kind of go through some differences and some similarities. And then at the end of it, don't go just yet, because after the 3 slides, I'm going to do a video where I'm going to show you both the PDV and the VibroGo and kind of we'll look at the connections as well. So the PDV is here on the left and then the VibroGo on the right. Let's have a quick look. Now there are so many differences between the two systems, but to me, from a purely technical perspective, I picked a few that seemed like the core technical specs, that would be the most relevant. And then in the next slide, you'll see something that is more specific to the VibroGo. But the frequency range, for example, the PDV users know that you're going from quasi DC, so not quite DC, but half a hertz to 22 kilohertz. The VibroGo has different models as compared to the PDV, but the overarching sort of frequency range now goes from DC to 320 kilohertz. So again, you could configure it to have DC to 25 kilohertz, but in that same package, same form factor, now you can expand the capabilities quite a bit. Half a hertz can make a big difference, because if you have some DC applications, for example, you are trying to measure stage movement, things like that, then you really want to be able to go to DC. So that's a big plus. And then the other one is the max velocity. The current limit with the PDV is 2 meters per second. That has been extended to 6 meters per second. So again, a difference. I'm not going to comment on whether it's a good thing or bad, because it depends on your application. One of the main requests, one of the popular requests we used to get with the PDV owners is, why velocity only? Can I get pure displacement, or can you guys do the differentiation and give the acceleration as well? So now you can pick and choose. So with the PDV, you have the velocity only, but with the VibroGo, you can choose what you want at the B and C out. So that'll scale the output accordingly. Number of measurement ranges has been extended. Its standard was 3 with the PDV. Now, depending on the configuration and the model, you can have as many as 13 ranges within the same sort of plus minus 4 voltage output. What does this mean? Well, I mean, I guess the big picture answer is you can optimize your dynamic range better. So you can choose, you can sort of maximize that 4 volts a lot better than before with more choice of ranges. The lowest measurement range, or the velocity range, was 5 mm per second per volt with the PDV. Now we are going quite a bit lower to 1.25 mm per second per volt. Again, the users know that we usually say that choose the lowest range you can that doesn't saturate the decoder, because that way you are optimizing your dynamic range. And also our studies show that the lower the measurement range, the lower the dropout probability. So the better the signal to noise ratio. As far as outputs go, the analog voltage that is proportional to velocity in the form of a BNC has been a standard, industry standard, frankly, and it's always been there with the PDV. You still have that, but additionally, you can also transfer data and change the settings using either Ethernet or even wireless connections now with the VibroGo. This can open up a whole suite of different applications. If you are using an analog data acquisition system, no worries, you can keep using it. There's absolutely no change. It's still plus minus 4 volts of output swing. with the VibroGo as it used to be with the PDV. So you don't need to change anything on your end as far as the inputs are concerned. So these are some of the, again, there's so many, you got to look at the data sheets to do a fair comparison. But I wanted to point out a few that sort of stood out to me. This graphic shows some of the other features that there is no comparison between the PDV and the VibroGo, so we had to kind of create something that is more specific to the VibroGo. For example, one of the big ones, and that's been very well received, is the internal data storage. So it's almost like having a data acquisition system built inside the VibroGo. So it'll record data, few hours of data, and then you can, so let's say you are in the field, or you just want to kind of reduce the amount of stuff you are carrying, then you can collect the data on the PDV itself with its nice sort of big touch screen. Now that's a big difference. And then when you go back to a computer or lab, you can just export the data out of the VibroGo and do whatever you want with it. No special license required, nothing. But yeah, so that's the data storage or data recording or data recorder option. Another big one, again, it's hard to compare because PDV just doesn't have it, is now it's a standard that the VibroGo comes with an autofocus. So this also helps, not having to play around with the focusing ring. Wireless data acquisition system and wireless control is a big difference. The ability to control everything from a web browser, either with an Ethernet connection or with what the wireless LAN stick is definitely a big improvement in terms of capabilities. Also, something that's not mentioned here, the device communication software is a proprietary sort of software that lets you access the data stream, the digital data stream directly. So let's say you have your own process of collecting data, of changing the settings. You are not tied to our data acquisition or our software. You can do whatever you want with this device communication software. The battery is another good addition. Of course, the PDV also had a battery, but this is a little, a higher capacity, nicer, more sleek, and the best part is it's standard off-the-shelf battery. So you are using something that's, that's freely available out there. So these are some of the things that kind of stand out, and I already mentioned the velocity, displacement, acceleration. Now, here's the big question, right? Should you upgrade? Now, I want to break it down into a few pieces. So if your PDV is doing everything you can wish for and more, no need to upgrade. Absolutely no. PDV has been a stellar system, and absolutely very well made system, as all Polytech products are. So you really don't need to, if there's nothing, that the PDV is doing everything. We don't anticipate stopping the repair or calibration on the PDV in a foreseeable future. So absolutely you don't need to worry about it. You would consider an upgrade if anything you heard today or anything you read on our website stands out as far as new features are concerned. Is there something that fills a gap between what the PDV can do and what the VibroGo can do? So for example, if you have some remote applications where safety is a concern, the vibrometer is mounted in a location where it's hard to get to, now you don't have to kind of try to go on top of it to change the settings. You could be doing it on your phone. So that's a big one that kind of stands out. But ultimately, when in doubt, try it out. If you're not sure, give it a test drive. We have several of these VibroGos specifically for this purpose. Just play around with it. Leave the data sheets and pretty brochures out and just try it out for yourself. See what you think. This is the sort of the end of part one, but stay tuned. Just kind of this video is going to continue where I'll have both the PDV and the VibroGo, and we'll just kind of have a closer look real quick, and also the battery, and then you'll have a more complete picture, not just actual pictures, but actually physical sensors in my hands. So see you soon. Stay tuned. All right, let's continue. Now what I have here is a PDV. I also have a VibroGo in front of me. And we just want to kind of look at the, yeah, I mean, the form factor is kind of similar, um, of the connections. So the PDV, you know, people who are used to it, you got your BNC, which is very standard analog voltage that is proportional to velocity. This is for the power. This wasn't used much. This was what's called, you know, basically digital out. Um, and it was like a SPDIF type output. Frankly, not used much, but yeah, it was there, used by maybe 1% of the customers. So fairly straightforward to use. There was a focusing ring in the front that everybody's used to. And the touch panel here, you know, back when it came out was pretty fancy, and it had some simple controls, measurement ranges, you know, filters, and you know, then a high pass, low pass kind of thing. Um, the VibroGo definitely has more stuff. First of all, a fancy handle. Yeah. No focusing ring on the front because it is autofocus, so there's no focusing to be done. A touch screen, so everything is kind of controlled through the touch screen, which is pretty neat. Like that. A lot more connections on the back. So you can see these here. If my video can focus properly. Con 1, con 2, con 3, you know, con 1, con 2, con 3, and then con 4, and also USB. So con 1, for example, is for the power. The con 2 is basically just a BNC. So this is where you can still use your data acquisition system and plug it in. Con 3 is an Ethernet connection. So there's an Ethernet cable that goes from here to your laptop. So you can either acquire data or control the settings, everything remotely. Now, and you can do the same with the USB, which is right here, a USB port. See that? Isn't that fancy? So yeah, the USB port, you can put a WLAN stick here. So and then it'll show up as a Wi-Fi on your laptop that you can just connect to, and now you are controlling everything, even acquiring data wirelessly, which is yeah, I find it very cool. And then there is a Con 4 as well, you see up here. This is used for automation and triggering. So for example, if you want to do either laser on off, so if you want to automate things, you know, so you can provide a trigger signal here that will do a laser on off or autofocus, you know, things like that. So that's pretty neat to have these controls for automation as well. So overall, looks like, yeah, just slightly longer than the PDV, but it has the same connections on the back, so you can still use your, you know, either a quarter 20 or two M6s to connect to it. That was that. Just for comparison, yeah, we got the same two M6s and a quarter 20 in the center with the PDV as well. The battery, I wanted to just show you. So the battery is nice and sleek and off the shelf. So this is nothing, you know, proprietary. So this is what the VibroGo can run on if you want it to. And if you're out and about in the field and you don't need the battery, you can use it to charge your phones and all your gadgets too. So it's a couple of USB ports, and yeah, go at it. So yeah, VibroGo. So this plus the presentation that preceded this, hopefully it gives you a better idea of how these two, frankly, magnificent systems, to, you know, work and compare. Later.